I know that most of you guys clicking into this video probably has been benching Harumasa for a while, cause I'm also guilty of committing this crime. Until recently, cause I wanna make a comparison between Anbi and the Harumasa. And for those of you who have already made Harumasa, I have no idea why are you even here. But feel free to inspect this video like DEA inspecting butthole. And I do know exactly why are we benching him so hard. It's because of the technicality of it. People has been saying that he's hard to play, but he's actually more forgiving than I would have expected. And it's not like if you couldn't perform one of those 15-19 slash during the stun window, you're gonna get excommunicado out of the Harumasa club. The Harumasa community is actually quite chill, by the way, and keep benching him might not be a bad thing cause he doesn't like to work anyway.
命令を待つわ。トントトトントントントントントントントトトントントントントントン。
Harumasa is stronger than Soldier Zero Anbi's. Well, at least that happened to my test, using exactly the same gear, same team. And after I made this video, I watched other Harumasa guide and swapped his disc number 4, the critical damage into attack percentage. I got even better score, 30.8k. And do you know what proved my point even further? I was using auto chain attack. For those of you who don't understand, manual chain attack would largely increase Harumasa DPS, so you definitely don't want to sleep on these characters. And the other reason is because Zero Anbi need another additional attacks agent to utilize her potential to the fullest, because she's both a DPS and a support, buffing the damage of entire team, but exclusively on the additional attacks. And we only get Palkra, which is an A rank, and Trigger in the near future, and yeah, this pride and tier list on Harumasa is definitely a joke, and I don't think it actually takes a lot to be able to play Harumasa decently, especially with the new 4 set, the Shadow Harmony. This set just made Harumasa so much more easier to play. You don't need to worry about setup like the Thunder Metal 4 set, you gotta shock the enemy first before you deal the damage, and of course the Hormone Punks, where you have to time yourself to dish out the most amounts of damage to get the buff from the 4 set. But with Shadow Harmony, you don't have to do any of that, cause you're gonna get all the buff from his natural rotation. With that said, with the right play style and team setup, Hormone Punks and Thunder Metal are still the most optimized set for Harumasa, and it actually takes a lot more than just managing the buff. You also need a specific team for them to be optimized, like Thunder Metal is exclusively for the Mono Shock team, and Hormone Punks is kind of hard to manage, and with Vivian coming right in the corner, which her 4 set shares the same domain with the Shadow Harmony, so it's gonna be more energy efficient. If you're already pre-grinding for this 4 set, I would recommend this set to 95% of the player to use Shadow Harmony set. And by the way, the damage I listed here are being done with averagely about 11 to 12 slash per stun window. Unlike some of the craziest guide out there, getting like 15-18 slash, if I chain attacks manually, I could get 4 extra slash into it. But we are not gonna talk about manual chain attacks in this video. But in this guide, I'm gonna teach you how to play Harumasa decently within 1 to 2 minutes. So basically when you are playing Harumasa, you're gonna be aware of this 2 things. Like one thing is called X mark, and the other thing is this electrified flying nipples. And every time when you see this flying nipples, you gotta hold attacks and shoot at the enemy so that the nipples would turn into an X mark, so that YouTube wouldn't strike me on showing the over-sexualized content. Oh my god, it's the flying nipples! What should I do before the YouTube flag this video? We gotta hold attack to eradicate it as soon as possible! Yeah! And usually when the X mark is up there, you could get 3 to 4 slash, which is his main sources of damage, but sometimes you would only get 1 or 2 of it, so you gotta keep an eye on the X mark to see that whether it's disappear or not. And when the X mark disappear, it means that you are out of slash. And by the way, slash count as dodge attack, so you gotta levels up his dodge attacks before anything. I mean, like technically it's not dodge attack, it's dash attack, but the point is levels up this one. And oh no, I cannot slash anymore. And in this case, you use your whole skill and it's gonna generate 6 nipples, which is equivalent to 3 slash. And during the animation, when Harumasa dropped to the ground, just press basic attack to animation cancel into dash attack, and again 3 to 4 slash. And what if he ran out of energy and flying nipples? Don't worry, we got Astra! Astra! Get Harumasa to chain attacks! The chain attack from Harumasa will also generate 6 nipples, and it will also works in the chain attack during the stun. And then you hold attacks into dash attacks again, and trying to do all the slash. And ideally, you want to use most of your slash attacks during the stun window, specifically the Chingy team, which is pretty much the only stunner for Harumasa. Or maybe you could count A rank and B, but without the stun team, there's the other types of team comp, which is the anomaly team, because every time when you proc anomaly, it would generate 6 electrified nipples. But you gotta be careful that if there are any other nipples on the field, you're not gonna be able to generate nipples this way. Like yeah, you see, no more nipples is generated. And the nipples that you got from anomaly is only available for every 12 seconds. Now let's move on to his team. Astra Chingy is the best. Chingy Nicole is close behind, because Nicole would give a lot of defense shred along with massive amounts of anomaly, and Chingy would give a lot of stun and breaks multiplier. And the S rank team would be Harumasa Chingy core with any support of your choice like Caesar, Rina, Lucy. And as I look at other people's test result, Caesar Bernice with Harumasa is working decently well, even though the additional abilities of the Harumasa wooden procs. And Yanagi Bernice team is also surprisingly good. And for the A rank team, I've seen people dish out a crazy amount of damage with this team, but I will just put them at the A rank. But keep in mind that his Harumasa is Mindscape 3 and Grace with Mindscape 2, so I'll just leave them at A rank. And finally, the free-to-play team. This team is working surprisingly well to help you get through the content if you're a new player. And yeah, by the way, I don't really see much potential between Trigger and Harumasa, because the nature of Harumasa is burst attacks and Trigger is more like a consistent support. And yeah, that's basically how I got better score than the Soldier Zero and B, by just navigating with these principles. I know that it's a rather sloppy guide for Harumasa mains out there, but I do think that this is a great way to get started with Harumasa, so that people who don't play Harumasa wouldn't get overwhelmed by the information that most of the guide feed you. I would suggest you to play Harumasa for a couple minutes if you never ever play Harumasa. Then come back to this guide. So I'm gonna explain how he functions properly with the rest of the video. So the proper name of the nipples is Quiver, and all of Harumasa kit is revolving around this thing. And once the quiver is generated, it would last for exactly 1 minute, so you don't have to worry about using it immediately. You could save it for the next stun window. And you could generate 2 of them by finishing the last basic attack. And in order to activate his slash, I gotta hold attacks it. Then you see this X mark here, and as soon as you release the hold attacks, you immediately press basic attack to get a slash. The time window for the animation cancel is actually quite forgiving. It got 5 seconds to chain you into slash. And once you wait beyond 5 seconds, it's not gonna chain into slash. And if you're moving right after the hold attack, it also wouldn't chain into slash. And what you wanna do in this situation is just simply dash and attack. And now you got your slash back. So you better just spam attacks right after you hold attacks. And when the mark disappears, it means that you have no slash left. There's this mistake that I've been doing it a lot, and I can't be the only one, is that when I try to hold attacks, but I ended up doing basic 1 because I don't hold attack early enough, which is a waste of animation. So what you want to do is that you want to hold attack on basic 5 so that you could avoid doing basic 1 while you're doing hold attack. And the same concept could apply when you are doing chain attack. So let me stun the enemy here and chain attack with the Harumasa. And at this point, I'm already holding my basic attack. And even if I cancel chain attack here, the hold attack is still intact, and it's easier to do so with Astra Ultimate. So every 2 quiver would generate 1 slash. So let's say if I basic attack combos for 2 times, I would get 4 quiver. Then I activate the slash with hold attacks again. 1, 2, I got 2 slash here. So we have talks about how to get the quivers up, like anomaly would give you a 6 quiver, which is equivalent to the 3 slash. EX special would also give you 6. Chain attack would also give you 6. The other thing that would give you 6 is basic 5 after a chain attack. And we have talks about it. Basic 5 would actually give you 2, but that was in the condition without the chain attack in prior. But if I basic 5 after a chain attack, it would give me 6. And this chain attack to basic 5 condition would last pretty much forever. I've tested it by chain attack and I leave it there for like 10-20 minutes and I still got 6 when I do the basic 5. And the fastest way to get yourself into basic 5 is simply just keep pressing the basic attacks after you complete the slash. It would take you right into 4 and 5. And basic attacking after ultimate would also take you into 4 and 5. And that is also a good option. And the last mechanics about Harumasa is that when enemy is being stunned or in the anomaly state, you would get an extra slash when you apply X mark to the enemy. So let's say if I basic 5, I would get 2 quiver, but I could slash twice. And if I apply skill chain attacks, or anomaly, I could get a total of 4 slash. And here's the fun tech, but you wanna use it as a last resource. You simply just hold attack and slash without generating any quiver. That's actually pretty good to squeeze the last slash within the stun window. And this hidden mechanics isn't written in the description, is that when you are stacking too many quivers, it would automatically convert into X mark. So let's say if I use skill twice, and you could see the X mark is being applied automatically. And with that, you definitely don't want to hold attack, cause you would be wasting 4 slash for doing this. And the Harumasa main in the comments section is going to find you and spit on your face. So doing this is a no-no for most of the situation. And what you want to do here is simply just press dodge and attack to get out the slash. Well, with all that said, I think anyone who is new to the Harumasa wouldn't be able to memorize all of these. So I made the flowchart here and screenshot it, save it on your phone or print it out so that you could get familiar with Harumasa better. And after I've been playing him for a while, playing Harumasa in auto chain attacks is actually more forgiving than people would have thought. You could mess up a little bit here and there and you still wouldn't have that much drop on the DPS because you could only realistically get about 10-12 slash during the stun window or maybe as much as 13. And all the slash above that could only be performed with manual chain attacks. So you definitely don't want to get scared by the technicality of it. And instead of giving you a full-blown combos of Harumasa, I think it's better to just list out the priority list for your thought process when you are playing Harumasa. So before you stun the enemy, you might want to have your anomaly procs or basic 5 with 6 quiver. And during the stun, you perform chain attacks. After chain attack, you use skill. And if you don't have enough energy, you want to perform basic 5 to get 6 quiver. And if you're running out of everything, you simply just hold attacks then slash, and it's actually a lot easier than you think. You could mess up couple things here and there and you're still perfectly fine. You're not gonna see a major DPS drop. Well, but with manual chain attacks, there ain't much room for mistake, but we don't talk about that in this video. The number one thing you wanna be careful when you're building Harumasa is that you gotta pay attention to his crit rate. You don't wanna go above 63 crit rate if you're using Shadow Harmony, cause it's gonna give 12% crit rate, and Harumasa have this passive that give him another 25% crit rate in the battles, and my Escape 6 Nicole also give 15% crit rate. So 48 crit rate is all you need when you're playing with Nicole and Shadow Harmony. For the 4 sets, Shadow Harmony is more consistent. Hormone Punks and Thunder Metal would have better performance if you know how to manage them. The best 2 set is gonna be Electro damage, then follow with attack percentage, then crit rate, crit damage, And this number 4, you wanna go for attack percentage over crit rate, crit damage, because one of his core passive would give him 72% crit damage, and having crit damage as main stat would make your critical damage more saturated than the pork lard in your local German market. As for this number 5, you wanna go for electro damage, because Harumasa doesn't really have much sources for electric damage, whether it's from his team or his build. This number 6 is definitely attacks, and normally mastery here is a joke. There's a lot of W engine guide out there that is much better, but I will just quickly run down here. So the best one is definitely his signature, then follow with Anbi's signature, then Evelyn's signature, then Brimstone to the Julian signature. The best option for A rank engine would be Mikado Desire, then Starlight engine, and it's only 1% behind the Mikado Desire. And just use Starlight engine cause you're gonna have too much crit rate on Harumasa anyway. And be sure to like and sub because I'm gonna make a guide on Harumasa on the manual chain attack in this format. And yeah, I hope that helps and see ya guys.